Everyone, welcome to today's video. A little late because I've skipped 1 week, but an interesting topic once again, an interview experience regarding this MBA program that everyone is trying for. I'm going to share the experience of Iim Vizag, yes, Iim Visakhapatnam interview experience I'm going to share today, which I have appeared for about 2 months back, and it was the last interview that I appeared for, and it consisted of 4 panelists. Yes, the panelist number was the greatest among all the interviews that I have appeared so far. 4 panelists is something very tedious. You see, you get to face different type of questions, you get judged by different kind of people, and you do not know what perspective they have about you. But fortunately, I got selected in Visakhapatnam as well, so my interview went pretty decent. However, I couldn't answer a couple of questions there as well. So you see, I'm going to discuss the questions straight away. So the first question that opened up, the cliche question, tell me something about yourself. But the twist about the question in Visakhapatnam interview was, tell me something about yourself in 20 seconds. Yes, something that you wouldn't be prepared for, because you would have prepared an introduction for at least 30 to 40 seconds, if not a minute. Generally, I do it for a minute or so to introduce myself, because I have a lot of things to say so that I can drive the conversation towards the domain I am opting for. Otherwise, the conversation completely gets driven towards the domain they want to ask from, and then it becomes an open forum, and you may or may not know the answers of the questions they are asking, because they can ask anything and everything. So it is better to prepare an introduction where you can drive the topic of interest towards your strength, and that is what an introduction does. And when it is crunched down to 20 seconds, it becomes tough. So just make them feel comfortable. That is what I did. I never ever calculated 20 seconds. I never ever rushed through my introduction. That is what they will see, whether you in the time crunch collapse or not. If you do not collapse and be as normal as you can be, and do not be over expressive, or do not try to be super fast, because nobody gave you the deadline of 20 seconds. They just told you casually that introduce yourself in 20 seconds. That 20 seconds may extend to 30 seconds or 40 seconds, but make it bearable. Do not let them feel that it is more than 20 seconds. When something interesting is happening, nobody counts the time. They just concentrate on the content of what you are saying. So just make your introduction crisp and interesting, so that the time is never felt as a factor, that it is extending beyond the limits, and finally someone stops you in middle and tells you that you are done with your 20 seconds. Do not let that happen. It didn't happen for me. I introduced myself in about 30 to 40 seconds, I guess. And since I mentioned about this t-shirt startup of mine, they straight away went to the t-shirt startup thing, and I wanted that to happen. I wanted the ball in my court, and that is exactly what happened. They asked me, what is your t-shirt price and how do you decide it? A very interesting question. How do you decide your t-shirt price depending on the market situation? So if you ever present a business of yours, or any involvement in any type of startup or something like that, these type of things will be asked about the marketing aspect, about the operations aspect. How did you reduce the cost? How did you manage the waste? How did you maintain the supply chain? And finally, how did you back the customers? And how did you decide the price? These are the things that you will have to be thorough with when you are talking of a startup in particular. And I told them that how did we decide the price? We took the competitiveness of the market. What were the competitive prices that were being awarded by our competitors to our customers? And if we needed to convince our customers, we definitely needed to work with a better model, financial model, such that it can be lucrative for the customers as well as being profitable for us as well, better revenue model. And that is exactly what we worked on. We took the competitiveness of the market into consideration, and we decided the price thereafter. So this will be a detailed explanation. I cannot go into the detailed explanation of the same, because it is not an interview, but just a feel of how the questions are asked. And straight away they went to another cliche question that you can expect when you talk of a startup. Your customers. Who are your customers and how do you convince them? I told them that my customers are basically college student, college-faced organizers, and basically this kind of things. I am less into corporates. I am into corporate, but very less in number. Also merchandising or like customized t-shirts, individual t-shirts are frequent. But if you talk about bulk orders, if you talk about my major revenue, it comes from the college fairs, from the students in itself. So those are my particular customers. And then their question was straight away, how do you convince your customers? So that is again one of the questions that you should be prepared for, depending on the domain that you operate your startup in. If it's an e-commerce platform, the approach is going to be different. If it's a product, if it's a service, the approach is going to be different in each of its individual cases. And I structured my answer right away, that how did I convince the customers, how did I offer them the competitive advantages, how did I give them the guarantee of the authenticity of the brand. So these are the different things. Even if you do not possess one, you should be confident that you possess one to convince the customer. That is what I exactly portrayed. And then this straight away came to my organization. Yes, the place you have experience, you've gathered experience in. They talked about Hindustan Zinc Limited, and they asked about the Hindustan Zinc Limited organizational structure. They told me that apart from the regular things about Hindustan Zinc Limited, that it produces zinc, what else can you offer us? So I told them that it produces silver as well. It is the 6th largest producer of silver right now in the world, and along with it produces lead and ancillary. It produces acid as well, and minor metal recovery as well, like copper, cadmium. They recover these metals as well in minor quantities. Since the price is high, they get a good revenue out of that as well. And they asked straight about the organizational structure. As I told you, who is the CEO, who is the CTO, who is the CMO, who is the COO. So you should know all of these about your company. I told them the CEO name, the CMO name, the COO name, the CFO name. I knew all of this prior, and I prepared about all of these, and these things you should be knowing. Now, since I had a Six Sigma Green Belt project, the straight question up and out in front of me was, what is the difference between Green Belt and Black Belt? Now, I was completely bowled out because I wasn't expecting this type of a question from the panelists. I didn't expect that they would ask me what is the difference between Green Belt and Black Belt. I rather expected how does Six Sigma work or something like this. So I couldn't answer. I baffled a bit, and I told them that I do not know, but I know that Black Belt has a greater superiority than a Green Belt. Black Belt has certainly completed more number of Six Sigma projects than the Green Belt candidates, and they straight away asked me what is the criteria of the Green Belt. I told them that 2 Lean Six Sigma project you need to do. You need to attempt a test, and you need to attend a course of 8 days at minimum of the Lean Six Sigma thing that they usually teach in the industry. So straight up the questions were from Six Sigma. Name 6 industries. This was asked by panelist 2. Name 6 industries where Six Sigma is prolific or is dominant. So again, a bit baffled, but I eventually answered it. Automobile industry, aviation industry, pharmaceutical industry, any metal industry, metal and mining industry, any core industry, oil industry, gas industry. Even in the defense academy nowadays, Six Sigma is playing a big role. So you see any FMCG industry in particular, in the supply chain and all, they have this thing of Six Sigma where they measure the defects of the final products that they are selling, because there is a very less margin of defects. And if you produce too much of defective products, if your USL, that is upper specification limit, and LSL, lower specification limit, if most of your products are going beyond that, then there is a problem with your curve and you need to perform the Six Sigma project. Again, the question was, these are the industries that do follow it, but what are the criticisms? So what do you think are the disadvantages of Six Sigma? Now, very interesting question. I didn't know what the criticisms are, but I quoted a few articles which I have never read, so I just bluffed a bit, and you have to be confident enough while bluffing them. I bluffed a bit that I have read a couple of articles where they say that Six Sigma has certain disadvantages because of the name, as it suggests. It's a Six Sigma process. So Six Sigma process, basically what it means is your standard deviation, that is sigma, your USL and LSL, that is, if I talk about the mean in particular, if it's a normal curve, the mean, median, mode, and same. So the mean and the USL, the gap in between the mean and the USL should be 6 sigma, and the gap in between the USL, the mean and the LSL should be 6 sigma once again, and the gap in between LSL and USL should be 12 sigma. So you see the standard deviation, 12 times the standard deviation, the gap should be this big. So all the data points should be almost within the LSL and USL. It is opting for 3 DPMO, 3.4 DPMO to be specific. What is DPMO? 3.4 defective parts per million opportunities. So you see, if you pick up 1 million, 10 lakh products, out of which 3.4 are going to be beyond LSL and USL. So all of the rest of the products with 99.9996% accuracy in a 6 sigma approach lies within the USL and the LSL. That is the accuracy level that you desire from a 6 sigma project. And in some industries, you do not require a 6 sigma project at all to be that precise. You need it to be a 3 sigma, 4 sigma project would be enough. But since 6 sigma demands a 6 sigma in itself with such precision, the time management becomes a big hectic thing, because any 6 sigma project at least takes 6 months to 1 year to proceed, because you need to collect the data, you need to analyze the data, you need to define the problem at the very beginning, then you need to measure the data, then you need to analyze it, and then you need to suggest the improvement ideas, implement the improvement ideas, and then sustain on it at least for 6 months. So it will take about 1 year, 1.5 years. So if you want an immediate change in the product quality, you have to sacrifice the 6 sigma to 2 sigma or 3 sigma, and you need to wrap it up quickly. The methodology of 6 sigma is a time consuming methodology in itself. It defines its timelines as 6 months to 8 months till improve phase, and then a 6 months of sustenance, which makes it more than a year to see the end result, or to be sure of the end result. And that is a basic criticism. That is the most vulnerable point of a 6 sigma project. That is what I told them. And apart from this, they asked me that HZL, about Hindustan Zinc Limited. Do Hindustan Zinc Limited, this was a third panelist, do Hindustan Zinc Limited offer ESOPs or not? Now, ESOPs is something that is the shares of the company given to your name. I told them that it is offered beyond 3 years of experience, and once you become an M6, then only you will get this particular opportunities, and you can sell them off after a fixed period of time only. So ESOPs are not being offered as a part of the salary by Hindustan Zinc Limited. And from there on came this follow-up question that what is the share price of Hindustan Zinc Limited today? So I had learned about this price of zinc, lead and silver for the day. But I unfortunately, I wouldn't say, by mistake, I would say I didn't study about the Hindustan Zinc Limited share price that very day. So I was confused. I told them straight away, I cannot tell you the exact share price today, but I have seen it a couple of days back, and it was around 295, and I was absolutely correct. Later I went on to Google it, and I found out that yes, it was 295. I visited the share price about a week or so ago, and I took a random guess that it would be somewhat around 295. That is what I remember from what I have seen about 2 weeks ago, and it would migrate around somewhere around 295. And actually I was right. It was from 3 to 4 days back, it was around 295 or 290. Suddenly it had skipped, and that's why he asked that question. That day it skipped from 295 or 300 to 310. That day the share price was 310. So if I would have said 310, he might have asked that what was the reason for the share price increase, but he didn't ask eventually. Yes, one more question that I forgot to quote right from the first panelist was, do you read newspapers? I said that not very frequent or avid reader, sir, but I do read. So they asked me about any historical significant event apart from COVID-19 in the weekend's newspaper, and I couldn't recall. I was blanked a bit. I told them that I cannot recall at the current moment anything apart from COVID-19, and that is all. The last panelist asked only one question, since he had already reviewed through all the questions that has been asked and the answers for the same. He asked me about my views on nepotism. What are your views on nepotism? I told them that what are my views on nepotism. So you should be prepared for a short, a pressé-like structure or an extempore structure. So my extempore topic was basically nepotism, and you had to say both for and against it. You need to state the pros and cons, as I always say, in an extempore or a GD. So that is all. That is what the 4 panelists asked me. It was a grilling session. I couldn't answer a couple of questions, but I tried to answer or approach mostly all of them, and I always answered with a smile where I didn't know what the answer was. So I told them that I don't know the answer. So that is the interview experience of Iim Visakhapatnam. Do not be underconfident that you won't be able to clear it. If I can, you can too. And that's it for today. If you liked our video, like it, share it with your friends, subscribe to our channel, hit the bells icon. You will not get updates unless and until you hit the bells icon. That's it. Thank you very much.